Okay, so now we're moving on to part 2 of essentialization, and we're going to look at some examples from the secondary level. So here is an example from middle school, and really across the board, we are asking our students to be working on text-dependent analysis. This is an 8th grade standard. Determine a central idea of a text and analyze its development over the course of the text, including its relationship to supporting ideas, and provide an objective summary of the text. So if we were to essentialize it, we're going to underline our verbs, box the nouns, there we go, and then transform it by limiting the scope of what we're looking to do and eliminating the extra language. So we're asking students to determine the main idea, identify supporting details. Now you will notice that details was not used in that standard. However, details can be related to the idea of the development of the text. Really, that's just more simplifying the language for the student. And we're asking them to summarize. Here's an example that Meg Burke, one of our instructional coaches, put together of a graphic organizer for middle schoolers working on text-dependent analysis. So you'll see over here, whoops, I'm going to go ahead one. We're looking at the beginning, the middle, and the end of a text. She's asking them to add specific evidence in this second column here. Be specific, you can directly quote, you can have a reference there, and be accurate. And then the last column, so what? So how is this connected to the evidence? It needs to wow the reader. So she's giving them a clue of this is how to write in a more interesting style. So taking it down another notch, you might have some students who need a little additional support than what's provided just in those open boxes. So we could give them prepositional phrases along here. We could give them the subjects and then a choice of verbs. Now, if we were modifying for students who had some more significant needs, you could also provide them with pictures. And I would also probably suggest just giving them a few choices in these columns rather than a whole list. Okay, so moving along, high school history. Here's a history standard that spans grades 9 and 10. Analyze the impact of the business cycle on individual and group behavior over time. Analyze characteristics of economic expansion, recession, and depression. Now, when I was looking for examples, I just pulled this off of a teacher's website at the high school, and this is what he was asking his students to do for the marking period 2 objectives. I won't read it all out loud. You can see it there. So when we're looking to essentialize, again, we underline the verbs, box the nouns. There's a lot of information there. So if we pull it apart a little bit more, and again, when we're looking at just essentializing the standard for our students who have more significant disabilities, we can just pick a few things we want to work on. So here we have define, describe, explain, our key concepts or key nouns, our New Deal components and results. So to transform that standard, we are asking our students to define the New Deal and describe the results. So one way that we could do that for our students who have significant disabilities is by modifying the text or providing a summary. And this is something that your inclusion facilitators can help you with. And that's why they're there. They're there to help you with these heavy modifications for students who have significant needs. So I want to show you something. Here's the modified text, but I also want to show you a great tool on Google that you can use. Now, if you notice up here, I have my little read-write puzzle piece. And what that does is it allows me to read the text, or it should. Here we go. Okay, so I highlight the words that I want read, and then I press play up here.
In 1933, America was in the Great Depression. People were losing their jobs and did not have money to take care of their families. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or FDR, was the president.
So you can see I just highlighted the text and then I went up there to play the feature. There's also some other great features here where you can highlight. There is a translator, although it has limited access in terms of the different languages, but it's a really great feature that you can use, especially since we have so many things on Google now. And again, it's this little puzzle piece that I have here in my extensions. And if you go to the Google Web Store, it's a free app that all of our teachers have access to. It's read-write. And this can really be helpful for our students, even those who just have some specific learning disabilities in terms of getting things read to them. Okay, so I'm going to go back to present mode here. So you can see in the modified text, we really boiled down to what, if I were giving someone, the general overview, what would that look like for our kids? So we want to know that there was a Great Depression. We want to know what that means, essentially. So people were losing their jobs, they didn't have money, they were upset. I also want them to know the components of the New Deal. So we want them to know relief, recovery, reform. And even just adding a picture in here, that can be helpful, not just for your kids who have significant disabilities, but just that visual of those 3 R's. And again, your inclusion facilitators are available to help you when you need to do things like modify text. Okay, so to recap, essentialization is a way that we can make standards accessible for students who have significant cognitive disabilities by reducing depth, breadth, and complexity. And even if you don't have these kinds of students in your class right now, you're probably getting them at some point, but also understanding essentialization can help you scaffold instruction. And then I just do want to caution you that we want to use our modifications sparingly and really for our students who have the most significant cognitive disabilities. So we may have some students who are in need of modifications, but if they are taking or will take the PSSA, the Keystone eventually, we really want to make sure that they're getting exposed to that grade level standard, and we can modify and then begin scaling back on those modifications for our students who are in need. All right, thank you. And that is what we have on essentialization today.